Okay, so today we're going to be talking about social, or what is social and cultural conditioning. Now, first off, I'm gonna be honest. You're gonna hear probably the same answer from me than many other YouTube channels, and a lot of people are gonna say it better than I can, with fancier words and probably have more experience and knowledge of what it is. But this is, based on my own sort of research, I guess, and my opinion on it. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about, well, what a great thing to talk about in this vast world. Social and cultural conditioning. I'm just going to put them under the same subject. I know they're slightly different, but they fall under the same thing, really. Okay, so what is social conditioning? Social conditioning is a very evil form of manipulation and mass mind control, which basically has this isn't a new thing, basically, which has basically been around for many. It's been around for centuries in ways, but technology is probably the biggest benefit that I'm going to just call them the global elite. I don't want to put a name on it, but I'm just going to call them that because it's easier. It's basically the biggest benefit the global elite have technology, phones, TV. Now, obviously, 100 years ago, people didn't have mobile phones. I'm not sure if the television was around, but even if it was, it wouldn't be to this extent, and they wouldn't be able to advertise as extremely. Anyway, let's get to the point. Because social conditioning, as I said, technology is only a huge benefit to use to condition people socially and culturally through technology. But obviously, the global elite, they have many other ways to do it. You've got the newspaper, which I guess is a form of paper technology, if you like. Fashion, fucking travel, cars. Get this car, right? Anyway, let's fucking get on with it. Social conditioning is it's a system, if you like, of predetermined, thought-out plans which distance human beings further and further away from their biological, neurological, pretty much any logical database and their DNA than it has. But what I'm saying by that is these social conditions which society, if you want to call it that, if you want to call this disgusting world we live in, a society, which society has forced on us, tear you further and further, and it's going to get worse the further, the further into time and the older the world gets. It tears you further and further from your integral, deep core of human emotion, knowledge, DNA, and empathy and feeling than ever. And what I mean by that is, we always get the media telling us what clothes to wear. We get them telling us what TV programs to watch. We get them telling us who to like and who to dislike. But what if it all is an illusion? Because that is all it really is. And I'm not a condoner of these things, but psychedelic, I guess you could call them drug users, psychedelics do allow you to understand at a deeper level. And I'm sure you can understand using other things and just gaining knowledge generally. But the point I'm trying to get across is psychedelics do allow you to understand this at an even deeper level. Now let's strip away all of what the world has to offer. Let's get rid of technology. Let's get rid of fashion. Let's get rid of the newspaper. Let's get rid of these dictators, fucking any government leader, basically, that tells you what to do, right? What do you have left? Let's get rid of fucking buildings, okay? All we've got left is a fucking vast 22,000 mile in circumference Greenland of rainforest and fucking desert. So if you like, that is what the world is without cultural conditioning, in a way. Because think about it. Even buildings really are cultural conditioning when you think about it really deeply. Because think about it like this, right? I live in the UK, and you get the people on benefits, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Some people need to be on benefits. They have a learning disability. They have, they're disabled, stuff like that. So benefits are a good thing, right? Which is basically, for those of you who don't know what that is, benefits are a small cut of money given to you by taxpayers from the back taxpayers pay the government tax, and the government, you obviously have to sign up for it, but the government pay a certain bit of that back to you if you are not, for some reason, able to work. So, let's tear away buildings, right? Or let's compare buildings. You've got people that live in a council estate on benefits. Some people live in a council estate and they're not on benefits. I'm not. See what I mean? I'm trying to not even generalise here when we're talking about it. Say you've got a council estate, then you've got a really nice sort of like modern housing estate, 300 metres away, or you know, half a mile away or something. The people that aren't in the council estate, they're in this newly built sort of like housing estate. They're going to judge, most likely, or at least say something about the people living in a council estate due to where they live. Now think about it, if they didn't live in this sort of like a better area, they would have no predisposition of judgment towards these people. So let's say there are no buildings, okay? There are no fucking buildings in the world. There's nowhere. We just live in the fucking trees, in the rainforest, in the fucking rivers. If there were no buildings, people would not have any form of judgment. Now, obviously, to some extent, humans have always judged each other because humans have fought each other before buildings were even around, like native tribes, you know, hunting and stuff, survival of the fittest, different families fighting for one another, defending each family, like, whatever. But if we didn't have fucking buildings, there would be less judgment. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous, but think about what I've just explained. And I know I'm not very good at explaining things fully sometimes, and I do stutter sometimes, but think about it. Even buildings are a part of social and cultural conditioning, and then that's sort of the foundation. It's a bit of a pun, really, considering a building is built on a foundation, but it is true. Because people judge each other on where they live and what they do, right? So take that away, and let's move on to the technology, which is sort of the biggest part of it, or it's the easiest that the global elite can use against the human being, is technology. You know, they can advertise whatever they want, whenever they want, on the television or fucking social media, to manipulate you and either make you think you're doing wrong or that you're not good enough, and it, you know, pretty much destroy your self-confidence. They can tell you what you're wearing, you know, what you should be wearing and stuff like that. But this all comes down to some sort of evil class of people that have come up with a systematic idea and idealect of how this world should work. But that's not the case. Because if these things weren't around, yeah, we might not have technology, we might not have cars, but I guarantee you the world would be a much easier place, okay? We wouldn't get a nice big fat steak with chips on the table either. Still part of social conditioning. Because in a way, people do even judge you by the food you eat. So what I'm trying to say here is, social conditioning is not good. Social and cultural conditioning is a disease which has been planted inside the core understanding and knowledge of man and woman, male or female. I'm trying not to be sexist here. And the further into the time gets, you know, the older the world gets, the more advanced technology gets and everything else gets, I guarantee you, the worse social conditioning will become. Which also makes me think, not that it matters, but these transgender people, because they are people after all, you know, they claim to have loads of different genders. It does make you think. If they're happy, that's fine. But are they doing that just to be noticed, or at least some of them? Because this is another part of social conditioning that people, I don't know, I feel like it's social media a lot, that they like to do things a lot to be noticed, okay? Now, isn't the whole idea of that kind of fucked up? Because you shouldn't have to put yourself out there to be noticed because you're feeling low or insecure. All humans should be treated equally, and, you know, social conditioning has been around for fucking thousands of years. Think about the slave trade. That is not just racism, that is not just judging and, you know, discriminating against black people and racism. That is social conditioning, because one social class of higher up white people decided to discriminate and enslave millions of black people. Okay, where did this idea come from? When did it go wrong? in the human biological system for this to happen? When did it go wrong? And a lot of people, more people than not, disagree with this. You know, you ask the average person, they will hate racism. There's only 1 in 10 people, 1 in 20 people that actually are racist, okay? Which, to me, must mean that somewhere along the line, the ego got in the way, and that could actually be where it all started. The slave trade, maybe that sort of time. I'm not sure when the first ever form of discriminative slavery started. What I'm saying is that could be the very start of social conditioning. Research it up yourself, because I don't know. I'm just going with the slave trade, because that's what I know about, which I think was in the early 1800s. It might be before. Obviously, you know, there was discrimination far before then. But what I'm trying to say is, forget about that. Social conditioning is evil, and only you can make a difference. So what I'm trying to say is, if all of us stood up as a race, because there is only one human race, if we all stood up as a race and understood what is actually what are us as humans being made to do? Yes, we exist, we live. I'm sure many of us are very happy. What I'm trying to say is, all of this around you, this television, this phone, ironically, that I'm recording this video on, is part of social conditioning. It is a disgusting, diseased form of enslavement and entrapment to keep your mind away from the true ideas and capabilities of what you and us as humans are capable of. Sorry, I just dropped my phone. Okay, I'm rambling on a little bit, and it's very hard to put into words what this is actually, what message I'm trying to put across is. But what I'm trying to say is, this is not real life. Yes, you're awake, and this is happening, but when you go to your job, and when you go to your, when you go to your job, basically, what's the point of it? You're being conditioned. You're being conditioned to try to be another cog in the machine, another brick in the wall, if any of you know Pink Floyd. But do you think any of these companies actually give a shit about you? Do you think they care? Because the thing is, if you were to leave your job role, just like that, they'd find someone else. Which just proves that you are not as unique as they try and tell you are. You're not as special as they try and tell you are. This is in a company role. I'm saying every human being is special individually. But I'm saying in a company, why a company picks you, you are not special. They might try and tell you are, because they need somebody there to make the fucking money, and to make them look good. But you are not special in a company, because as soon as you leave, even if you've been there for 10, 15 fucking years, they will find someone else. Right? And the only reason humans are working is because they have been enslaved to have false ideas to make them feel important. And that is pretty much all I'm trying to say. Cultural conditioning is a diseased form of mass mind control, and I believe that it has edited our integral DNA from wherever humans started, where they evolved. It's deleted or replaced our deep integral DNA, empathy, core belief system, and emotions and neurological system, and our thought process and our belief system into something that is so fucked that next thing you know, robots are going to take over the fucking world, and that is going to happen. And cultural conditioning is all a part of this. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, if all of us stood up, all of us, and extended out into the world properly as one, the global elite would have two choices. They'd either fucking nuke us because they've got no choice what to do. They're like, oh, look, these fucking maggots are finally understanding what we've done to them. Or they'd change this world and make it a better one because they know what we're capable of now. The choice is up to you.